afternoon, Alk. Thank you for joining us. It's been long in coming, and we are very excited to get this opportunity to speak to you, and we feel very privileged to do so.
Thank you, Dewald and Louise. I appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. And I know that you've recently stepped down from being the CEO of Westfalia. Is it international? If I got it right?
Yeah, it's a Westfalia group globally.
Westfalia group. And so you, as you said, you were catching up with all the people that you needed to see and chat with and the backlog. But I think it would be quite nice if you just introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you've done, and then we take it from there. How's that?
No, that's perfect. No, thank you for the opportunity, and yeah, thank you for making the time, because I know that Dewald has been trying to find a time where both our calendars work, but here we are, and this is a good time. So thank you. So I grew up in Paarl in the Western Cape, and had a wonderful time growing up as a child. I went to Paarl Boys High, and I sort of was a happy kid and not taking planning of my career too seriously at school. It was about sport and rugby, and I never thought I will end up in agriculture. The only person really which were making a bit of money out of agriculture in our family was my grandfather and my mum's side. He was farming in the Karoo. And he told me, listen, you know, when you go to university after school, please promise me not to go in agriculture. And I said to him, why? And he used Afrikaans word, which I hope you won't mind me using. And I will try to translate it, but it was ellende. He said that when he thinks of farming, it's ellende. And ellende, as you know, is poverty and struggling and so on. And I think he was quite prophetic in what he said. But I studied at Stellenbosch University and studied a BCom degree and an honors degree in industrial psychology. And then I joined Pioneer Foods, and Pioneer Foods head office at that stage were in Paarl. So, you know, I was never thinking I'm going to leave Paarl or forget about South Africa. And it was a great time. I started in the milling and baking division of Pioneer Foods. I also worked in the agri side of Pioneer Foods. And then very briefly, I stepped into the first time really in agriculture when I left Pioneer Foods just for 2 years, and I joined Massey Ferguson South Africa. And I was 25, 26 years old, I think. I joined them as their general manager for whole goods, so looking after the importation of their tractors and combine harvesters. And that fascinated me, and I got the opportunity to travel to Brazil and UK and France and Norway for the company, and really got an appetite for this global markets we all in. But then I decided to go back to Pioneer, and they sent me to the UK in 2001. And supposed to be for 1 year. They forgot about me, and in 2012, I decided that, you know, I'm probably never going to come back to South Africa at that stage, because not for any other reason than, you know, my career is just sort of in the UK now. And then in 2012, I left Pioneer, and I joined again an agribusiness, and I joined a company which were part of Richardson International, the Canadian, very strong Canadian agribusiness. And it was in the grain side of the business, and I was running the operation for them in Europe. And then my roads actually led to Westfalia, sorry. And that is my 3 careers. You know, I had a wonderful time at Westfalia. I led their global business, which started in South Africa 75 years ago by Dr. Hans Marinsky, and is now a global business operating in 5 continents and 17 countries. And I had an unbelievable career there. And I stepped away from that role at the end of March this year.
Wow. Yes, it really is an unbelievable career. So before we started the podcast, there's obviously the thing, what are we going to chat about and all those kind of things. So you've been in a leader position for most of your career by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
How was that to lead these big companies? Because Pioneer Foods by itself is a very, very big company. And why I'm asking this is, and we discussed it previously as well, is that when you see a lot of young kids, they just see the title CEO or MD and they don't know what goes along with that. And because I think we're in agriculture and probably agricultural people listening to this, what does that entail, and how does that fit into agriculture? Because if you mention agriculture to any 16-year-old kid now at school who's planning the rest of his career, like you said, you never thought you're going to be involved in agriculture. And if you mention farming or agriculture to them, they look at you like as if you swore to them. There's no way that you can make a fantastic career in that industry. So yeah, I've asked a couple of questions there, so please feel free to add on.
I think the first thing is that you have to be true to yourself. And one of the big things is that if you follow a path for the wrong reason, then it will take so much unnecessary energy from anybody. So most people with a will and some intelligence can nearly do everything in life, but it doesn't mean that it'll make you happy. And somebody actually, a wise person said that there's 24 hours in a day, and most people sleep 8 of them. And let's say you work 8 to 10 of them, and then unfortunately the bit which is left is going to be impacted negatively if you're not happy, because you take that you're tired when you get home, you're tired when you get up. And I can really say that for me, the test was always, do I want to get up in the morning? Do I have a smile on my face? And do I enjoy what I'm doing? So for me, it came naturally. But I think the first thing is to be authentic, is a word which has been used a lot lately. But, you need to understand what you are, and people can see straight through you if you try to be something you're not. So I've always tried to just be myself. And I was very fortunate that in my career, I had people which believed in me and were willing to back me. And you have to be grateful for that as well. So in Pioneer, I had a wonderful leader in Andre Honnekom, the CEO of the group, which believed in me and gave me opportunities. And hopefully I didn't let him or the company down. And so people give you opportunities when you do your best. And so leadership for me is very sort of personal. I don't think that there's a guideline you can follow for leadership, or a course you can go and take. Of course, you can improve certain skills. But I think if you are where you are and people are willing to follow you, then that normally helps. So I've been very fortunate and blessed that for some reason people believe that I will help them to develop their careers. And most of the people which reported into me throughout my career can hopefully witness that I've always tried to help them as well and to develop them. I believe in servant leadership. Sometimes you have to make the tough calls and the difficult decisions. But it's really about making a difference to everybody around you and to enable everybody to operate at the best level in a business. And that was sort of my recipe I followed in my career. And I enjoyed being around people. So in my career, I was really fortunate to meet some very important people, but it is really the person sitting next to you in Westfalia, and but also in my other careers, the guy on the production floor, the guy on the farm, the person which is in the dispatch office and the logistical platforms. These are the people making the difference. And if you enjoy them, hopefully they can see that. And if you try your best be decent and to communicate well and to create clarity. And I think it makes your life easier. And that is what I've done to the best of my ability. And that's the other thing, you and only you will know if you try your best. And I've always gave everything. So hopefully that rewarded. The reward came from there.
Yeah, I've got this thing with my daughter. She's now 11 years old and it's exam times now. So I said to her, I've got one rule. I will never fight with you about your marks. But I've already done grade 5. I'm not going to do it again. So I'm not going to be the one studying for you. If you come to me afterwards and said you did your best with what you put in, then I'm happy. Even if it means that you didn't make it. Or if you come to me and says, no, I didn't do my best, then it's up to you. Then they've got to face the consequences for that.
I always say to people, sorry, Louise, you go.
No, I was just going to say, you can fool other people, but you can't fool yourself. not consistently. And as you say, if you've done your best and you've tried your best, you know whether that's happened or not. Sorry, Alk, you were saying.
No, I said I sometimes tell people about golf, and I'm the world's worst golfer. So it's probably a strange example to use, but the thing about golf is you play against your own handicap. So if you play against the best in the world, it's okay that they get a better score than you, but you need to play against your own ability and continuously try to improve. And probably that's what we all have to do, is just that dedication to continuously improve ourselves and to try our best. And some days it works, and some days it not. But the more you try, the luckier you get, as Gary Player always says.
Yeah. So for the people who's curious about it, what did a normal day look like for you as a leader of one of these global companies? What did you have time at leisure to get to work whatever time you want? What was a normal day like?
Yeah, you see, if you ask 10 people, they'll give you 10 different answers, because I think what you bring is your own personality to a role. So what I'm going to tell you is not the way to do it. I mean, it was my way. But I grew up luckily delivering newspapers when I was 10 years old. So I was always up early, and it became a habit of mine always to be up early. So I like to be first in the office or first in front of my desk to be well prepared for the day, and preparation is very important. What I've actually learned is that you can plan for to as much as you can, but then there's always surprises, and there's so many moving parts to any business. Doesn't matter which business you are in, but the ability to be able to handle all these curveballs coming to you with a good team around you is essential. As an example, when I was planning my year in 2020, I decided exactly every week where I'm going to be, and then in February 2020 it was COVID, and suddenly everything went through the window, and you have to find new ways of doing stuff. So I personally believe in visible leadership. So and what word says, people must be able to see you. Now, obviously, this format of being on a screen is one, but I've tried to spend as much time in all our operations globally as possible. So in Westfalia, I took a lot of my time traveling internationally, globally, but I've really, really enjoyed it. And to be there right in the thick of things with your teams. But I think that is what most companies need. However, the bigger the company, the more you have to focus on other stakeholders as well. So stakeholders are vast, from your investors, which are really the owners of a business, so all your shareholders, your board of directors. These groups all need attention. Then, in the context of South Africa, for example, the government had to play a big role, because they are important stakeholder in the communities. the communities itself, and then all your colleagues, your leadership team, and the rest of your colleagues. Then your customers, you have to be there. We must never forget that the reason why we all in business is to have customers. So they need you, they need your time, they need to see you, they need to speak to you. Your suppliers, your growers, your shipping lines, all these people need your attention. And it is about allocating time between all of that, and then having some time for your family as well. I've never been very good in managing my personal time. And hence the reason why I've really enjoyed the last month or so, just to spend a bit of more time. And they're not used to it. So I say, when you phone, what's wrong? Is there something wrong because we haven't heard from you for a while? So why are you phoning now? Which is a bit of a concern. And as we get older, we also sometimes lose some of our friends and family, and it makes you aware that it is important to spend time with people who really care for you and love you and support you. But Dewald, to summarize, you know what? There's not one thing, and it's never the same. But obviously, you need to be disciplined in your calendar, and to put some time away for the formalities which a business require. Because at the end of the day, any leader is responsible for very specific objectives and KPIs. And so you have to make some time for that to make sure you deliver on that.
Okay. So you mentioned some stuff that I was thinking of having at the next. It's also a personal question, and you kind of touched on it. For you to have moved from South Africa to the UK and get forgotten there for several years by your employers, that must have had quite an impact on yourself and your personal life. And how did that impact on your family and your, I don't know if you've got any children, but how did that impact on your family?
So this year I'll be in the UK for 22 years. So just
wow.
to say, I think, forget about me tongue in the cheek. But no, it took a lot of time and an effort to get to the right mindset of, because if you have one foot somewhere and one foot somewhere and one foot somewhere else, then you're never sure where you sort of are centered. So it took me some time to appreciate the opportunity I have, and I've been fortunate that I could travel to South Africa quite often for during my career. But you had to make some time for people, and I wasn't very successful always in that. I regret that. It's unfortunate that investment in friendship is like any relationship. Sometimes if you don't feed that relationship, then it's never the same. So it was difficult, but you know what? Everything which is worthwhile is difficult. So I wouldn't say that it was a bad thing. I've been very fortunate. I've started counting. I've traveled the world. I've been to more than 50 countries in my time. So you can't complain about that, and the exposure and the development from a personal side was immense. So I don't regret that, but it was difficult. And I lost my parents while I was in the UK. I lost several of my friends, which passed away. And it's times like that when you do know that there were sacrifices you made as well, which had some benefit on the other side as well. So it's never a perfect story.
Yeah.
So what did your grandfather say after he said that farming is just ellende and you've started to gain some success in the agricultural industry?
Yeah, I'm so sorry he never saw it. So I lost him before my career really got traction. But hopefully he will be smiling from heaven and saying, okay, he's done a few good things as well.
Yeah. So
okay. So another question that I have for you, which takes you a little bit away from the personal things, is having been at the helm of Westfalia through a long period, decades that you mentioned. I think that the growth in the avocado sector internationally, a company like Westfalia would have been quite near the forefront of being involved with that and driving that. That's been quite a phenomenal success. And like the World Avocado Association, what a ride, what a story. And that, people are eating so much more avocados today. Any comments on that?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And it's a very good work which has been done for long time by colleagues of ex-colleagues of mine in Westfalia. So I won't take any credit for that. The industry is a phenomenal industry which are growing strong, and it is a very good industry to be in. But when you're leading from the front, you have to keep leading and be on top of your game because there's many people chasing you. So the company has done an extremely good job to do that globally, and I'm pretty sure that they will continue to do so in the future. The company's got phenomenal leadership and wonderful stakeholders, strong shareholders. So I'm sure they will continue to make everybody very happy.
Okay.
Because it's if you look at a menu at any restaurant, it still says avocados seasonal or when in season. That's long gone. There's no such thing as avocado season anymore. You can get it any time of the year. Walk into any shop, there's avos on the shelf. You might just pay a couple of bucks more for per fruit than what you normally would.
Yeah, it's true, and obviously, as we know, any vegetable or fruit type are seasonal. So you'll have to, or normally seasonal. So you need to find ways of making it available on the tables and in the restaurants, and that on itself is a unique challenge, which a few companies globally, not only in avocados, have done well, but it's really an international play then. It's not something you can just do from one geographical area.
For sure, but just having studied the incredible growth of avocado consumption internationally, it's just taken off in a way that it's such an incredible story, and I don't think people know how avocado growth has happened, and it's really peaked. And as Dewald said, that's kind of like we're talking about South Africa, but internationally, it seems to be available to a lot of people in places that you would never think people are consuming avocados, and also the growing spaces. We were talking about the fact that there are now avocados being grown in the Southern Cape. It's like, what? You didn't think that was going to happen. So, yeah, it's incredible fruit.
No, it is indeed, definitely. And as a young fruit as well, certain fruits we can actually read in the Bible times from, apples and grapes and so on. So this is actually quite a young fruit relative to other fruit competitors, if I may use the word competitor. So it's I'm sure the best is still to come.
Yeah, no, I was in Zimbabwe the week before last, and I was there specifically for avocados, and I saw some incredible things. It really was incredible.
Sure.
So now that you have stepped down, what are you other than when you've said hello to all your friends that haven't seen you and heard from you in years, what are your plans?
I always like to be involved in something with a purpose. So I think it was important for me just to find myself a bit. But I'm sure I will do something purposeful. So I don't know the answer, but we will see. I'm pretty sure that I will invest my energy in something again. But I don't know yet what it is.
Well, good luck with finding that. It's when you've got purpose and you're going down a road full steam ahead, doing the job that you previously did. all these opportunities that came across your path, you have to ignore because you've got to stay focused. So hopefully something will come across your path that piques your interest and you can go down that road.
No, I hope so, but you know what, we all have so many years on this beautiful planet, and sometimes we have to do what we have to do. But I'm now at the stage of my life that I really only would like to allocate it on topics which makes a difference and relationships which make a difference. So we will see where destiny leads me, but I'm very happy where I am as well.
Fantastic.
I see on LinkedIn you posted, when was this, about 2 weeks ago, you said you're delighted to be part of the Institute of Directors. Can you tell us about that?
That's a phenomenal institution. So, you know, obviously I knew about the Institute of Directors for many years. But when I started getting more and more involved in all the various subcommittee boards of Westfalia, and you realize the importance of good corporate governance, I felt that although I was sitting at one side of the table, I wanted to qualify myself to really do justice to the company and to shareholders. So I started studying at the IOD. They do the Institute of Directors, which are really this sort of governing body of good corporate governance. Of course, there's law which also enforce that, and South Africa is leading that, you know, with King. So King has been seen as a very influential voice in good corporate governance, and I would say category in the UK. So they teach people how to be good board members, and they do that through various courses you have to take and qualifications you can take on. So I became a chartered director of the Institute of Directors, which is a formal qualification, and I really put my energy in good corporate governance discussions. This year I'm very glad to be a judge in the annual award ceremony of who actually become the Chartered Director of the Year in the UK. For me, the good corporate governance is more than just an obligation. I think it's something which we all have to do. You know, law says we have to, but I think anybody which is not focusing on that is not really doing their job well. So for me, the Institute of Directors has been a very good spiritual home in terms of corporate governance. I'm really enjoyed being part of it.
Okay, and do you need a formal degree like a university degree to be part of that, or can anybody join it, or how does it work?
No, anybody can join it. You need to be a director of a company to do so. It can be a small company, it can be 2-3 people company, and then you know the law applies for big companies and small companies, so anybody can. In South Africa, there's a very, very good Institute of Director office, and I've actually done it in the UK, but there are offices all over the world, and definitely highly recommended to at least investigate that.
Okay, and is there any of the other fresh produce sector people that you know of that are part of this institute? Because to be honest, I've not, other than what you've posted, I've not seen much. That's why I'm curious about it.
Dewald, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. You know what? To run businesses nowadays, you have to be so certain that you're doing the right thing. So I won't be surprised if there are many globally, but I won't be able to name them.
Okay. Interesting.
I would imagine that it is a very, very important organization that provides help for anybody, you know, to do the right thing, the ethical thing, and to have all of that stuff in place is so important today. Well, it's always important, but even more so today. And that you know exactly that you are on the right path when you're making decisions. So I would imagine that it's very helpful and insightful to be part of that and to assist people that need that kind of guidance. So Well, good luck with that, and it's wonderful that is something you're passionate about. So obviously that's going to keep you busy.
Yeah, you know what? But I sometimes read in newspapers about a company which didn't do well and they're just disappearing, and suddenly it's a newspaper that this company is closing down and 4,000, 5,000 people are losing their jobs. And sometimes things happen for out of the control of the leadership and the board and the shareholders. But many times you have to ask yourself, could they not have done actually more to run that company in a more responsible way? And I think that the one thing sometimes which you will find on board of directors is group thinking, everybody thinking the same, one or two personalities being so strong that nobody questioned them. And these are the things which I think your various courses which I took during my chartered director exam very specifically highlight risk management, because at the end, whoever's in the helm of a company, you are just a custodian. A custodian is a temporary person which is there for a moment in time, and he or she needs to make sure that when they hand the baton over, that it's in good hands. And therefore, you have a huge responsibility to people which trust you with their lives. They come to work. They expect the people sitting there in the offices to look after them well and to have an interest at heart. And for me, I'm really passionate about senior people which are paid, good money everywhere, that they are able to make the right decisions for long term, not only for their shareholders, but also for their colleagues, which are important stakeholders in any business.
Okay, yes, indeed. So many people's lives and livelihoods are reliant on you, that you really need to be on the top of your game and actually make the right decisions, the correct ones, and to actually consider them. And yeah, those people are so important. They are actually the building blocks of the company.
Absolutely. And a lot of, companies in the agricultural space, people in mining, it's all in rural communities. So, and these rural communities, so the upside is great employment and hopefully, look after the colleagues well. But it comes with a responsibility of being fully invested in a community and to give more than you take. That's not any company. It doesn't matter what space you're in.
Yes. Okay, so well, that would certainly, I'm sure that will be purpose enough for you to get out of bed in the morning and to keep you busy, and maybe some other nice things will come across your path for you to do. Alk, I'm not sure, I didn't quite understand. Are you still based in the UK at the moment?
Yeah, I'm based here the last 22 years.
So, and any plans to move back to South Africa?
You can never say never. We will see where the paths take us, but we've been here for a while, so
yes, it's quite a while.
Friends and well-rooted into this area we live in. We live here in just outside Cambridge in a very beautiful area, which is the farming area for grain. So we will see where it takes. But one thing I can tell you is I'm fully invested in South Africa and very keenly follow everything what's happened there. Still got lots of family and friends there. So I hope that the election is something which will go well in a day's time, and I wish everybody well there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I know that you're away from South Africa for a long time, and if you look from the outside, people looking from the outside of South Africa would see, geez, the guys are battling. Everything is against them. The ports is not working. This is not working. That is not working. And there's a very long list. You who have traveled the world and obviously been involved with all the problems from all the other countries, what is the thing that the South Africans don't realize that's going for them?
Well, first of all, South Africa is a country of great resilience. So, before we go to the technical things. So as a nation, I think that they just never give up. And I'm going to say us, because I'm still calling myself South African as well. So I think that the resilience and the ability to forgive each other is actually quite remarkable. And when you have a right will to succeed, and you're willing to work to find solutions, then that is a good start. So I think South Africans needs to understand that they operate in a global community, and there are common issues everywhere. The economy normally is a global thing. When it goes well in the economy, and the United States and China and India, which are the powerhouses of the global economy, drive that. So if it goes well, then it normally goes well everywhere. And when it goes badly, it goes badly everywhere. I think that a lot of countries are underinvested in terms of their infrastructures, because they have so many tasks to allocate funds for. But it's quite common that there's an issue everywhere in every developing country, and South Africa is part of that. But when it comes to a solution, you have an option. You either can find to blame, and to blame the government, or blame this or that, or you can try to find solutions. And I think what South Africans probably have in their favor is the willingness to find solutions, where I think that is probably for a very small nation, we punch quite above our weights with many things, not only in agriculture or infrastructure, but also in everything, medicine and business, banking, law. So I like to hope that we will keep on having faith in ourselves, and the resilience to stand up if we get knocked down, and find ways around that. Saying that, as I say, we're part of a global community, and to succeed, you need to be a global player, and you need to understand the global market. You need to understand what your customers want. You need to understand competitiveness. You need to go and find that unique selling proposition to be a bit different. And you need to be a master of what you do. Otherwise, you will not succeed. Nobody really feels sorry for anybody in the world. So us as South Africans shouldn't expect anybody to give us favors. I think there was a time, and it was, I think, abnormal, just after President Mandela became the president, where South Africa had a bit of a, let's call it, a honeymoon period. But now we're back to competitiveness wherever we are, and there are many countries in South America, for example, where I used to travel to a lot, which have similar problems, and you will have to find solutions to compete against them and many other players in the market. So I don't think that we are unique in our challenges. But I think we can be unique in finding the right solutions, and I'm very, very hopeful that we will, and I'm actually quite convinced we will. Our history has always been some tough challenges, but finding common ways of dealing with it.
Yeah, no, it's I spent time. And I've traveled a little bit in South Africa, and I get to spend quite a bit more time with the people that's on the ground. And there's certain provinces in this country where I think the people have lost hope with South Africa. But I do think that something's going to happen tomorrow. I think there's change coming, and my prediction is it's going to be for the better. I really do hope so, with a lot of things to do with what all the challenges we face.
Well, I really hope and pray that it will go well. And as I say, I'm fully invested, and will continue to like to make a difference. And then I believe that we've got wonderful, wonderful people in South Africa, and I really believe that we've got very capable leadership in big business, small business, farming, and also, I've been exposed to unbelievable, strong, wonderful people in the government, which really, really try their best every day to improve their things. I was very honored to be able to work on the land claims and restitution process in my previous company. And the goodwill I actually found widely was very recommendable. And I really believe that things will go much better. And we all different. Some people see the glass half full, and some people half empty. And they say some people don't even see the glass. And I like to believe that the glass is more than half full. And maybe I'm just romantic, but I think it will go well.
Thank you. And I think that's an incredibly positive, realistic, but positive summary of South Africa and where we're at. And we really, things could go, as Dewald says, we hope things will look up, that something will happen tomorrow. Either way, whatever happens, I think, there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that there are a lot of incredibly capable and passionate people that are passionate about our country and capable. And just given the chance, things really could go forward. So thank you for that very honest and positive comment on South Africa from somebody who is South African but lives abroad and has had the opportunity to really have a world view. So it's very heartening to hear that. Thank you.
What's the view on South African companies in the international sphere? When you walk into a room in South America, for instance, like you said, and you said you're from South Africa, what was the first thing they asked you, or the general comment that was made?
Well, there's the serious comments and there's more light-hearted ones. Obviously, rugby. Everybody talks about the Springboks, so that's always an icebreaker. And even in the United States, when I have traveled, it's good to talk to them about our real passion is rugby or sport. And but that's on a more light-hearted way. I think that in general, I've got two things to say. One is it's fairly neutral. I don't think there's an unbelievable positive opinion or a bad one, because you know what, everybody's so invested in their own problems that they don't sometimes have too much time to worry about other countries and other people. As I said, I really think that everybody and every country in South America, for example, have some tough challenges as well, very common to South Africa, about the distribution of wealth in developing countries is a big challenge. Where you have people with lots of money and a lot of people with nothing, and that is not only in Africa; it's in other parts of the world as well, and it's a problem, and it needs to be addressed. I mean, I don't have the solutions for that, but it needs to be addressed because it can never be acceptable for any right-minded person that there's such a unequal distribution of wealth. But it will take some time to fix it. So, but I don't think it's bad either. South Africans in Europe specifically and in the UK are considered as honest, hard-working people, and their word is their word. And I think that has been the case before, and it's still the case today. But I really believe that at the end, it's in our own hands in South Africa to move forward and to improve, because everybody else is trying to do the same. And we need to understand that we're in a competitive global environment where, while you are working in Zimbabwe or South Africa or Mozambique or any African country, somebody else is doing the same somewhere else as well, and they are going to compete for the same customers. So you'll have to find a way of being different, innovate, unique selling proposition, look after quality, look after sustainability, have a good story to tell.
Yes. So I have a personal question. When you are an immigrant or an expat and you spend a long time living in another country, you're always to some extent a square peg in a round hole. You might take a little bit of the edges of that square and fit in a little bit better, but there's always, you're not from there. So what do you miss the most about South Africa?
Yeah, that's actually very true what you said, because when you travel, so the way I still figured out I'm still a South African is when I land in Cape Town, I'm just so happy. I really love that place. And when I land in Heathrow in the UK, I'm very grateful either. So I've probably got the best of two worlds here. But what I miss is above everything, you will ask somebody and they'll say, I miss biltong or some food or whatever. But it's true friends which been friends for many years. I've got friends which actually went to primary school with me, which still is in that area. So these are the people I really miss, and I miss my family. Nothing is more important than family. My sister is still living in Paarl, and she's got kids at school. One is now at university, one is still at school. I miss being part of their growing up, and that is unfortunately out of sight, out of mind sometimes. But that's what I miss. And South Africans have a fantastic, and I hope that it's not offensive, but people in the Western Cape have a fantastic sense of humor. So I miss that, and just that culture is very, very special. So that's the things which you tend to miss. It's just the people.
Yes, I think no matter how long you've gone for, when you arrive in where you are from, especially like, as you say, Cape Town, and you walk out and the personnel at the airport, and you hear the language and you hear the jokes and you hear the accent, it's kind of like, I'm home. So there's always that. My dad had an expression, and he just indulge me on this because I think you might enjoy it. He says, when you travel around the world, you hear English in many places. And it's always a bit like if you think of a radio station that where it's slightly off channel, but you can hear what they're saying. It's like an accent is like that. But when it is crystal clear, like ping, crystal clear, then you found a South African. So that's kind of like when you've been abroad for a long time, even though you've been listening to Brits all day, every day, it's still there.
There's also the other saying is that you've never been so fond of anybody else when you meet them in a different place.
People from your own country, yes.
If you see, you can walk past them every single day at the school or the mall or wherever, and it's just a hello. But now bump into them in a different place. Then it's a long conversation.
That's true, but the other side of the thing I also like just to mention is I've also learned that I've been very, very fortunate to spend a lot of time in many countries. For example, in India, I spent a lot of time in India. And when you really get to know people, I realize that at the end, globally, we're all the same. People have different faiths maybe and different views of life and on say fundamental things, but the other things like family and the safety of a family and how they grew up, education and so on, it's fairly common, and therefore we are more the same as we realize. Yeah, we have different ways and cultures and stuff like that, but it's a blessing to know so many good people all over the world. And the one thing I probably can take one day into retirement, and I'm not close to that yet, is wonderful friends I made all over the world, and it's important to stay close to them, and I'm going to invest a bit more in that relationships going forward.
Yes, right. So often you hear that people say, you've been working so hard, you've been so focused that there are things that have been neglected, and it is unfortunately a compromise you have to do when you're working hard. So take the time to see all the people that you needed to see and you need to catch up with, and enjoy every moment.
Thank you.
We've got a bit of a closing tradition, and because we haven't really recorded the podcast in quite a while, I've run out of all my backlog. I'm recycling this a little bit, where we ask the previous guy, and you will do the same, ask a question for the person we are talking to at the moment. So it's a random question. It can literally be anything. And the question that was asked is, what is the last photo in your camera roll, and explain why?
Yeah, nowadays everything is on an Apple phone, but this is a very easy one. I've got a little Labrador, which we always been Labrador fans, and I've got a new puppy. She is nearly 6 months old, and we like a family with a new baby now. So I took a photo this morning when I was walking her, and she gives me so much pleasure and joy. It's actually strange what animals can do for your own mental health, and it's just because I think I probably need a special friend like that with me every day. So it was a photo of my dog.
Nice. I've got young kids.
Fantastic.
It's about the same as puppies.
Well, thank you very much for taking your time to chat to us. We've been really trying to get hold of you for a long time, and now we also fall into that category that you have a little bit more time now, so you can speak to people like us. We appreciate that.
Thank you, and I think you're doing a wonderful thing, and
Thank
storytelling is so important, and a podcast, by just definition, is a good way of telling stories, and everybody's story is different. And I've actually listened to most of your podcasts, and I've really found everybody you spoke to so interesting, and you can learn from everybody in life. So well done, and keep doing it.
Thank you very much.
And we are actually in the process of ramping it up quite a bit, because we said we need to ramp it up even more. So there's going to be some cool things happening. But
thanks for the encouragement.
Thank you again. Just hang on the line for a minute or two. I just need to get your question, and then we can wrap it up. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the recording now.
Bye.